Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
Broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos. Your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC Radio. I'm really excited about this one. This is a little bit different. We just have an old friend of mine, not just, but I'm really excited to have an old friend of mine, Timco, with us. And Timco's he's an old EUC guy and former CTP with me, and just a great guy. And I will warn you, though, that there is a little bit of bad language in this, and so we just have a casual conversation between the two of us about EUC, about what's going on, about everything that you can imagine, and it's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun recording this, and I won't even try to edit it. I'll just leave it the way it was, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So if you are offended by a few swear words, then please don't listen, but it's not really as bad as I make it out to be, just a few. We're natural, and it's a lot of fun. So Timco's a great guy, extremely sharp, extremely smart, extremely knowledgeable, and a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy my episode with Timco, and here we go.
After we're done.
Should that be the intro? I hope we don't get sued.
Well, that's no. We'll keep it nice and polite.
Okay, Timco, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. For all those people listening, Timco just said, I don't know how this is going to go, but we hope we don't get sued. So maybe that should be the title of this podcast. We hope we don't get sued.
Well, thank you about that one, Doug.
He told me not to say it. I can still edit it out. I won't. But
you won't. I know you too well for that. You won't.
No. We'll have some fun.
Yeah.
So, but let's get going. This is a different podcast. You're not, this is not a vendor. Hey, what do you guys do? What do you build? Things like that. You're an industry community guy. So, let's just sort of shoot the shit and see what the heck happens. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's do that.
So, for those who don't know who you are, who is Timco?
Okay, let me introduce me real short. So my name is Timco Hazelaar, based in the Netherlands. Started working with, we called it server-based computing back in the day, around 25-ish years ago. Doing my first, actually, that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
So I was working at a local consultancy firm here in the Netherlands, and back in the day, we had a customer who bought MetaFrame XP. So we got a media pack which had the product keys and the CDs. I got it in my physical mailbox at my office, and our project manager told me that hey, we've got a customer who bought Citrix MetaFrame, and I was like, okay, what's that? Well, just Google it around, and you'll find it easy to install. And you have to go to the next day. You have to install it at that customer. I was like, okay.
That's the way consulting is, right? It's like, hey, have you ever heard of this? No. Well, tomorrow you're going to be an expert.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do it. Right.
So next day I went to that customer, opened up the media pack, put the CD in the server, and I was like, okay, next, finish. Okay, and now what? I had no clue what I was doing. And I think we ended up actually calling somebody who knew Citrix, and I think we called somebody from Citrix Benelux to help us out here. And then we started doing the education and training, and we got all the consultants at the firm educated. And but that was my first experience with Citrix. So over the past 20-ish plus years, I've been doing enterprise implementations regarding the complete Citrix portfolio. So from back in the day, Metaframe, presentation server, XenApp, XenDesktop. Later on, doing a lot of Netscaler implementations using the remote access gateway stuff. And along the way, you will learn everything you need to know, or more than you want to know, about certificates, about two-factor authentication. So I'm pretty familiar in that area also. And along the way, of course, everything which has to do with Active Directory, DNS, DHCP, printers, drivers, everything that. You and I, we're both pretty much old school boys regarding the current consultants. So we did it the hard way. let's say.
Well, you mentioned Google. You said you got Citrix and then you Googled it, right? When I found Citrix, there was no Google.
There
was no place to go. Jim Kinzig was our man, and ThinList was our list. You go there and one of us would know the answer, right? Or we would all go, we don't know. Like Rick Mack. Remember Rick Mack?
Yeah.
There's
Rick
a name
Mack
from the past. That guy was brilliant. Really brilliant.
I never met him in person, but I know his name. Yeah.
Yeah, I met him once, maybe a few times, but he's from Australia, right? So, you didn't see him very often at the shows because that's a long ways to travel. I saw him at I think Bry Farm in 2005 when I was at Bry Farm.
Oh, that might be the case. Yeah, that might be the case. So eventually doing some, working for some local consultancy firms here in the eastern part of the Netherlands. Finally, I joined the ranks of login consultants in Amsterdam. The guys who are also produced the Flex Profile Kit, the Immediate Flex Profile Kit, which now is sold to VMware. And they now also have a company still up and running, and that's Login VSI. So the benchmarking guys, that all came out of the Login Consultants group, and I still know a lot of those guys. But then back in 2015, I quit my job and I started freelancing, and doing that ever since. So,
what do you like freelancing versus working for a company?
There are ups and downs. You have some things over because basically you don't have to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
So there's no account manager, no planning, no CEO or whatever tells me to do something that I don't want to do. So that's one of the good things, the positive things. Especially in the beginning, the first year that I went freelancing, I was afraid that I was going to miss my colleagues and interaction with colleagues. And if you're stuck at the customer with a problem, I don't know, simple, you didn't get the monitor on, or you didn't know how to put the printer on, any problem you had. When I was at Login Consultants, I could call up like 50 or 60-ish colleagues. Hey, did you see that problem? Did you have that already? And help me out here. Now you have to figure it out all by yourself. But that was one of my fears when I started working for myself. And that fear became unfounded after a year doing freelance stuff, because I had a great couple of guys from the community, from Citrix, from the CTP program, now currently the CTA program, the IGEL community program. And most of those guys I don't know in person, but via the various social media applications, we can reach out to each other and, hey guys, I've this problem at a customer and I have no clue. There is always somewhere somebody who had that same problem, and so I think that's the community is a very important thing for us freelance guys.
I think it's important for everybody, right? I mean, like I mentioned, the way I found Citrix or in the day I was introduced to Citrix, there was no Google, right? And how we got by was, back then we didn't call it community. we didn't even call it anything, right? Thinless,
Yeah.
I think we call it. But
Yeah.
you get by. You always get like you when you worked for Login. Yeah, you had all these other consultants you could call, but now you still have the same folks. Really, it's and maybe they're different folks, but you know what I mean. Your friends are friends, and everyone, especially techies, we want to help each other, right? We're all in the same boat. It's a lot of fun too, right?
Yeah, and especially here over in the Netherlands, the community in the Netherlands isn't that big. So we pretty much all know each other. So it's very easy to reach out to one of the other guys or girls with a question or a solution. Maybe they have a question for you, and so here in the Netherlands, it's pretty easy and common that you help each other out, even though you're not working for the same company, or even though the other one is not making any money or stuff like that. So
sure.
That's
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was almost finished. I was like, that's one of the benefits of working here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, the Dutch users group, the Dutch community is amazing. I mean, I always say it dates back to old CDG, Login Consultants, and Red Software, right? Those three companies were almost interchangeable, and they really built up the Benelux. And but if you go to today, if you go to a Dutch users group or any sort of Dutch meeting, I mean, there's 100 of you guys, 200 of you guys, right? In Norway is pretty close. If I won't say one's better than the other, but it's as far as all the places I've ever been, I've never seen more passionate people than the Dutch and the Norwegians when it comes to getting together and helping each other. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, basically with when you're talking about the Citrix user group here in the Netherlands, basically the number of people is not limited by the interest of consultants, but it's limited due to the venue.
Yeah.
So the size of the venue. So there only will fit 150 people in the venue, and that's why we only have 150 people. If we probably will, not we, the user group, if they have a bigger venue, then probably we can have 200 or 250 people.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, it's passionate people. The Dutch, you guys are great. I mean, it's like I said, I've been all over. I think the U.S. I don't want to sell the U.S. short. We're too big, right? It's you more have little smaller regional groups. But I mean, the passion that comes out of the Netherlands is really phenomenal.
Yeah, well, and you basically also see that a couple of years back within the CTP program.
I was going to say that, yeah.
So we had 50 consultants from all over the globe in the CTP program, and I think from those 50, I think we're at the peak, at the top, we were like with 10 from the Netherlands.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to name them off because I'll forget guys, right? But Barry and Rimco and Anton and you and Bass. Although Bass came a little bit later.
But he came a little bit later. Jeroen van der Kamp.
Yeah, Jeroen. Well, he was the founder. He was in the first.
He was in one of the first thingies. Yeah. But also the German guys are also very well represented in the CTP community, with Torsten and Helge, Nico Ludeman back in the day, Benny, of course.
Yeah. And we can't forget Benny.
And from the Netherlands, you forgot Ruben Spruit.
Oh, how do you forget Ruben?
Oops.
Sorry, Ruben. I love that guy.
Sorry, Ruben. No, but that's a great thing, and I think the main thing is that we want to help each other out.
Yeah.
Regardless of money or profit or whatever, if we have an issue, we have a problem, a technical issue, we want to help each other out, and then I think that's a good thing. And that's not just our Netherlands-based guys. That's also goes for the German guys and the US guys and the Australian guys and the Norwegian and the Danish guys. We all want to help each other, and I think it's a remarkable thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have any experience with other groups. Although I do subscribe to a R2D2 club, believe it or not. I want to build an R2D2. like an actual real R2D2, right? And these guys
A
are
working
really
functional
a
R2D2.
working functional R2D2, and
That should be doable, right?
it's totally doable. I mean, you can get the whole kit, and it just depends upon how much you want to build. Like, you can literally just buy all the parts and put it together, or you can like fabricate all this stuff yourself. I mean, these people are uber nerds, right? We think we're nerds. These guys.
No. I'm not the uber nerd. No. I see some YouTube movies and I was like, what? What did you do?
Exactly.
Completely ridiculous, but hey, it is what it is.
It is super cool, but I love this industry, and you know, I mean, you and I have been in this thing a long time, and it's just in the new blood, someone like a Christian Brinkhoff, right? You know, it's, you know, more on the new side, and it's just a good guy that wants to help people and do neat stuff, and you know, it's creating some great content, and it's just fun to be around. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, indeed. And it's also time for some new blood.
Yeah.
So we pretty much are the old guys, and we don't want to run as fast or go as fast or work that many hours. And the younger guys, they want to put some more effort in there, and they want to make the hours and do the weekends and whatever. And I was like, okay, did that, been there, done that. I now have a family. I've got 2 kids. I want to see them grow up, and I enjoy spending time with the family. So that's
you got it. It's a I mean, you know, the great Steve Jobs commencement. I don't know if you've ever seen it. If the folks listening, if you haven't seen it, definitely Google Steve Jobs, commencement. And or Stanford, and he talks about the dots connecting in life, and how you end up places you might not have thought you'd end up, and you have to sort of trust the dots will connect and put you in the place you want to be, and what have you. But looking back on it, all the dots make sense, right? Looking forward, what's the next dot? So, for example, you move it into being an independent, working for yourself. You know, that's quite scary. You know, you have to trust in things, right? But looking back, it all makes sense, and you say, oh, this was simple, or this might have been difficult, but you know what I mean? They all connect. And like someone, for example, for me, all I wanted to do in life was be an engineer. That was my whole goal. And I remember the day I got past my first MCSE, I was just like the happiest guy on earth, you know, and I was just so happy. In fact, I went to the office and I said, I'm on vacation. I'm taking a week off, you know, and I went to the mountains and in Colorado and vacation with some friends and had a grand old time. I was the happiest man on earth. And now I run a community, and you know, it's like I'm so far away from that.
Yeah.
But it's those dots along the way, and it's that in your passion changes, right? You know, the passion I had for engineering and building stuff and solving problems when I was, you know, in my 20s or even early 30s. It's completely different than the passion I have today. Yeah, it's not that it's better or worse, right? It just changes. And It's, to me, it was always follow the passion, right? Follow what excites you, and if you do that, then you know, hey, maybe you might end up having a little bit of fun and make a little bit of money in the process.
Yeah, but that's I think that's normal. That your passion, well, not for everybody, but your passion will shift along the way.
Of course, I think that's true for everybody, for sure.
Yeah,
whether or not they follow it, I think, is different, right?
Oh well, that's another ball game. But your passion will shift. That's for sure. I don't see myself up until retirement doing implementations of actual technical stuff. So probably my passion will shift towards something like a team leader role, manager role. I can't actually pronounce it, get it out of my mouth, the word manager, but maybe.
Would you ever imagine taking what you do now and starting hiring employees and turning it into a consulting company with folks?
Oh, that's a
scary
different.
A little bit.
That's scaring me a little bit. Yeah, because then you also have responsibility for other guys or girls and other families. And if you don't bring in the work, then those guys still want to get paid, and they don't have. And so I was like, I thought about that a couple of times, but I still haven't taken the leap of fortune to try that. So. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to do that. Maybe if something comes along the way, and a great opportunity, but I'm nah, I'm not sure. No, no.
Yeah, it's when I left Citrix, I had that opportunity to open a consulting company or do DABCC or training or what have you, right? And the thing that kept me away was exactly what you said. Now I'm responsible for other people, and one of the things about tech is that you have the bench and you have the people on the bench, so to speak, and if they're not busy, they still need paid, and if you've ever had to fire someone in life, that's a really awful thing, right? So it's a whole different level of commitment that I just surely didn't want to go down that path. And I have a lot of respect. I was just chatting with another Dutch guy today, in fact, that's been doing independent for a long time. And now he's starting to hire people and move off. And I replied back, wow, that's amazing. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a huge step. So
that's a huge step. That's a huge step. And we'll see what the future brings. But for now, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds good. So let's change subjects a bit. COVID sure does suck, doesn't it? So how has this affected your what you're doing? I mean, you probably did a lot of remote work anyway, but how's this affected your daily job?
Yeah. So basically, pre-COVID, I was working 2 days a week in Amsterdam, which is pretty much across the other side of the Netherlands, from my house, what I mean. But so I was only working there for like 2 days a week, and 3 days a week I was working from my home office. So then that whole COVID-19 came along, and basically they closed down the office in Amsterdam and told everybody, if you do not have to be here, if it's not absolutely necessary, then stay away and work from home. So the next couple of months I worked from home. So basically doing 5 days a week from home. The difference was that also my wife was also working from home, which normally is not the case because she works at our city hall here in the town that I live in. So she's in the office normally for 3 days a week. So she was also home, and that's okay. I'm married to her, so I can deal with her. But
you like her? Is that what you're saying?
No. But no, also, no. You're trying to get me say stuff, but I don't want to say. No. But actually, the kids were also at home. So I've got 2 kids, which both are in. I don't know the English word, but we call it basisschool. It's junior high. Is that the thing in the US?
Yeah, your kids are that old now.
No. Okay, then I'm not.
How old are they then?
8 and 10.
Okay, so elementary school.
Elementary school. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, that's the one. Yeah. So, but basically, those my daughter and son, they also couldn't go into the school anymore. So they were homeschooled, and that's big respect for the teachers of the elementary school of my kids, because I think it was our Prime Minister did the announcement on a Sunday evening at 6, I think 6 in the evening, that everything was shut down and closed, and all the bars and restaurants and hairdressers and everything needed to shut down. Basically 2 hours later we got an email from the principal of the school stating that the school was closed the next day. So we were like, okay. But the next day, that was Tuesday, they had a whole online program and everything set up. So the upside is that every kid in the school where I live, they all have an iPad. They are using Google Meet, Google Hangout, Google Classroom, and they have a couple of online websites where they have some learning material. And they put it all online and did daily Google Meets, and you could use Google Hangout for chats with your teacher and ask questions to your fellow students, and that was pretty awesome how fast they ramped that up and put it out there. And the kids took maybe 1 or 2 days to get used to that. Well, that way of learning.
Sure.
But they picked it up real smart and real good, and they stayed home for like 2.5 months, I think it was. Yeah, Yeah, they start going back to school like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks
Oh,
ago.
wow. So they're back to school.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now they are back at school without any restrictions. So they first did 1 or 2 weeks with half of the class. So the last names A until I think L, whatever, A until L, were obligated to go on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And the other half would go on Tuesday and Thursday. And but now they're all back in school and. But this is the last week before the summer holiday, so they only have this week, and then on Friday they have 6 weeks of holiday. So, but a big applause for the teachers and the way they picked it up here at the place where I live. So, but there you also see the flexibility of the new younger generation working with iPads and not reading any manuals or whatever. It's all web-based and it's all pretty straightforward. We're not used to that. We have to learn that. And those kids, they got their first iPad when they were 3 years old. And I remember that my youngest was on the iPad for 2 or 3 days. And then I came in the living room and she was swiping the TV.
Yeah, my youngest did that too.
She was like, "Daddy, the TV is broke." I was like, "Huh? What? What do you mean? It's not working. Look."
Yeah.
Oh no, honey, you need a remote. Sorry. So, but that's the learning curve of those kids, the new generation nowadays. They are learning that so immensely fast. That I'm pretty eager to see where we will be in like 20 years or 30 years if I'm still around. But I hope so. I hope I'm still around.
I hope so. I hope you're still around too, my friend. I hope you're still.
But that's pretty awesome to see that the kids nowadays how they embrace technology and do their thing with social media, Instagram, TikTok. I hate that freaking TikTok. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, me too.
But the kids, they love it. They love
it. Absolutely.
So somewhere somebody makes millions of dollars with TikTok. But
I had to look it up. I kept hearing this TikTok, and I was like, "What? It's like a clock thing? What's going on?"
Yeah,
and when I looked it up, I was like, "Oh, like that? Oh, okay, yeah, great."
No, but basically, what I was trying to say is that the speed that the kids that nowadays pick technology up and work with Chromebooks or iPads or web-based thingies, it's pretty much natural for the next generation of us.
Yeah. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is, where do you think the world's going? And just because of what you're chatting about now, sharing with us now, where do you think the world's going? I mean, how does these children that'll soon be in the workforce be, blink of the eye, right? And how does that change how we do computing in the future, how we do EUC, how we do corporate work?
Yeah, well, so basically what I'm thinking, back in the day, we were pretty much used to be in the office at like 9 in the morning, do your 8-ish hours of work, and then you would drive home or go home. Nowadays, the new generation, they were like, what? You want me to be in the office at 9 o'clock? Why? They have a different mindset, and I think that's going to be the future generations. They are going to have a completely different mindset of not of working ethos, but we have a fixed Monday to Friday work pattern.
Sure.
I think that will completely shift into a 24-hour, 7-day a week, do whenever you feel like doing it thing.
Oh, I don't like this. Whatever you feel like, because you have a job and you do your job. I guess that's an old way of thinking. Well, I don't. My philosophy, like, I had a developer work for me for many years that was building DABCC, and he called me up one day and he said, "Doug, do you mind if I take the day off? It's the World Cup." And he's in Brazil, and the World Cup is like the greatest. I mean, well, the Europeans, everyone minus America, right? Yeah. World Cup is, it's religion. And so I was like, yeah, sure. I don't care. You take the day. Just get your job done. I don't care when you do it, right?
Yeah.
So, and now we have that flexibility, right? The whole Citrix revolution gives us that the web revolution gives us that flexibility.
But I think that will be we will see that more and more. So we still have some big, large enterprise organizations in the world who are a little bit afraid of that flexibility, of that freedom, of that responsibility. You have to give your employees responsibility and trust.
Yeah.
Trust is probably the biggest issue here. You have to trust your employees that they will get the job done. Maybe not on Monday, but you have to set the goals for like, okay, this is your week goal, this is your monthly goal. And I don't care if you do it on Monday to Friday, or do it on Saturday and Sunday, or do it at night, or do it in the morning. I don't care, as long as the job gets done. That's pretty much the philosophy we have currently. But I think that will exceed that. The new next generation will be want to be more flexible, more do whatever they want to do on the time where they want to do it. Probably you will see that more and more. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. More flexibility means that I can spend more time with my family. I can, if one of my kids on a Tuesday afternoon asks me, "Daddy, can we go play whatever? Go to the tennis court and play for tennis for a couple of hours?" And normally I would say, "Oh, no, sorry, honey, I have to work until 5 or 6 or 7." But now I was like, "Okay, yeah, close my laptop. Go play tennis for 2 hours and then go back to the job again."
Yeah.
But that's a trust. I think the key word here is trust. Both sides. So employee versus the company, but also the company towards the employees.
Yeah, you got it. And of course, there's some jobs that that you have to be certain hours, right? If let's say you're doing conference calls or meeting people in person and things like that. But a good chunk of work can be done in different time. The work always, I read this great book, Rework, and I brought this up in the podcast show many times because I just love that book. But work was all created back in the early 1900s, right? When we sort of industrialized as a world, and you went to work at 8, and you came home at 5, and when the kids were off at school and the lights turned, because of how the world worked and what technology we had in those days, right?
Yep.
And everything's changed since then, but yet we still really comply with the same rules that are sort of definitely antiquated and out of date.
Yeah, and basically technology helps us
to
do that, to work the way we work nowadays. If we didn't have that technology, I don't think we could work the way we do, because we don't have remote access to our network, corporate network. Then we have to go into the building where the corporate network is connected. But due to the new technology, the remote access, the web-based, and also the security, all guarding those networks, we are now able to work from and I think you're going to laugh about this one, from any place, from any device,
at any time, baby.
Anytime. You still remember. No, but actually that's pretty, well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. That's true.
Technology is the means and gives us the ability to do our job the way we do it right now. And I think that will continue to grow, because in 10 years, I don't know what technology we will see in 10 years, but I hope I will be around in 10 years, but
I hope so.
Yeah.
But you just said you're going to die off in 20. Now you're lowering it to 10.
Hey, maybe I don't know. I can step out of my house and get run over by a big bus or something. I don't know. No. But I'm really eager to see what the future holds regarding technology, and not only in the EUC region or in the EUC infrastructures, but also what technology holds regarding mobile phones, regarding computer games, regarding wearables, virtual reality. So not only business applications, but everything. I'm really eager to see what the future holds.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you another question I wanted to throw at you was sort of what kind of tech excites you nowadays, right? And so is there something beyond, or definitely, hopefully still EUC, but anything else? I mean, what do you really enjoy, reading about, or, the type of tech that, really you're like, oh, this is cool?
Well, what really interests me is, I'm not sure if that actually is cool, but the way that computer games are evolving, the amount of detail, the amount of realistic computer games, which we'll probably will see in the next 10, 20 years. I don't know. We now pretty much have, not real movie-like-ish video games, but that will probably be the future. And sure, if you leverage the whole virtual reality thing, then you put on your goggles and you walk around your video game as you would probably walk around outside your house or inside your house with, your brain will interpret it as real life objects. And I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Did you see that? I'm not a gamer, although I do appreciate the science behind games or the technology behind games. And I saw something about the new Real Engine. Yeah. And there was like a demo of it. It's like, wow. Yeah. And that was, did you see that by chance?
No, I didn't see that, but I can imagine. I will look it up.
It was beautiful. I mean, and it was perfect. It was just really, really phenomenal. And I mean, my games, last time I was ever a gamer was back in Duke Nukem, and
that's a long way.
A long time ago, buddy. I played Enemy's Territory too.
And I would like to put on a side note, I am not an Xbox, I'm not a PlayStation, I'm a hardcore PC gamer. So I think the rest is complete rubbish. I hate it. I tried. So my oldest one has an Xbox, and he wanted to challenge me in I think it was Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I will kick your little 6-year-old ass with that. Well, that actually didn't happen. But basically what happened was that I was used to game on a PC, so using mouse and keyboard.
Sure.
Then I got the Xbox controller, and I was like, all those buttons and thingies, and I didn't know what to do with it. And my little one, 6 years old, he was like, within 30 minutes, he completely figured it out and tried to, and he knew how to operate the controller. Yeah. So knew what every button did and what which button he had to push or not to push, and I was really struggling with that controller. And he was like, "Okay, I've done that." And after 30 minutes, he kicked my ass. I was like, I'm not going to touch that thing ever again.
Yeah, the problem I have with these games. I did play a lot of Sega Genesis back in the day with my friends, and I would play the Madden football games and the hockey and golf. We love Tiger Woods golf. And,
okay.
Yeah, but that was different. It was more a bunch of boys getting together, drinking some beer and playing some sports games, right? Mm-hmm. And, but nowadays you almost have to be like a concert pianist. Your hands are moving like so fast on this stuff where. Yeah, I'm a keyboard guy, so...
Yeah, me too.
You got it. So let's flip over to EUC for a little bit. Are you bringing in the missus?
Of course. Say hi to Doug.
Hello, Doug.
Hello, how are you?
Nice to see you.
Very nice to see you.
Okay.
Should I cut that piece out, or do we leave the Mrs. Timco in there?
Yeah, leave the Mrs. Timco in there.
I will leave the Mrs. in there.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's
excellent.
No problem. So basically, but that's what excites me a lot is seeing what new what engineers or inventors come up with next.
Yeah.
Seeing what the future holds. What I do think is that we will see more integration of everything, and that's integration is, I mean that in a global sense. So more integration of everything in your house with the way you live. Purchasing groceries, going out the house, coming into the house. So whole home automation will be more connected. More appliances will get more intelligence. So you can buy. So I think Samsung has already a fridge which will automatically order milk if the milk runs out.
That's been around for a while.
But imagine what will happen in 10 years.
Yeah, maybe it'll make its own milk. Like to figure that one out.
Yeah. Then I think we're going to have a Star Trek scenario where you have the replicator.
Yeah,
that you can.
Yeah.
It was a Star Trek, right?
No. I was never a Star Trek fan. I'm a Star Wars fan. I never moved over.
Oh yeah, Star Wars. You don't have the replicator. No, but in Star Trek,
Star Wars has no food. Have you ever noticed that? There's like a few times they drink something, like the drinks, but otherwise, there's no food in Star Wars. There's no candy.
No, actually, no. I come to think about it. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah,
No, but that's a that's a. Try to get your head around it. Try to figure out what sort of technology we will see in the next 10 years. How will mobile phones look? How will tablets look? How will laptops look? Are we still using laptops in 10 years? Or are they, just a piece of paper which you stick on the wall and plop, switch it on, and that's your laptop? I don't know. And I'm really eager to see what the future will bring.
Yeah, I agree. Let's switch over to EUC a bit, and so what do I want to talk about? Well, let's bring up WVD. Let's go straight into it, right? And we've talked for a lot of time, and we'll keep talking, but let's go straight into the heart of it, right? The belly of the beast, right?
Yeah.
So with WVD sort of came out, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but it's a new technology. WMI, what's it? WMI? What was that? RDMI, excuse me, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you think, okay, this will take a little bit of time. Then COVID hits, and then it's like boom, and sort of a skyrocket. Well, what are you seeing? What do you think of it?
So let me first make the comment. I have absolutely no idea what the big fuss is all about.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Because simply, it's not new technology. Basically, WVD is nothing more than a virtual Windows 10 desktop running in Azure. You connect to it via an RDP client. That's basically what WVD is, right?
Yeah, of course.
So there's nothing new. We could do that 3 years ago, 5 years ago. When was Azure created? I'm not exactly sure.
When was what created? IGEL?
And Azure.
Oh, 2010, 2009, 2010, 2011.
Okay, so basically in 2010 we could have a Windows virtual desktop up and running in Azure and connect to it via RDP. We could do that back in the day. So what I jeez. There's a phone ringing over here, but what Microsoft does really great, and what they have been doing great for the last decades, is marketing the stuff. So everybody is crazy about WVD, but in a nutshell, it's not.
Well, I think you're selling it short, though. I mean, of course, there's nothing groundbreaking in the sense that that an arm doesn't come out of it and scratch your ass when it itches, right? But at the same time, there's a few pieces in there that I think are groundbreaking. Maybe it's not technology per se, but it's one, Microsoft's doing it, right? This is huge. It's not just the fringe players, so to speak. Not that VMware and Citrix are fringe players, but the biggest boys blessing it, right? Two, we have Windows 10. You could Windows 10. I mean, guess you could throw Windows 10 in a VDI environment, right, and get that. But as a otherwise, if you in the big boys, we're doing Windows Server. Right. So now we have multi-user Windows 10. And in fact, it's multi-user too, where the other one was not. It's just still one-to-one into Windows 10. So, that's a huge difference, right? In the fact that Azure is more of a pure cloud play than a piece of, executable software that used to be installed on-prem, now installed in the cloud and called cloud. It wasn't, it's not cloud if it's just been moved over to someone else's data center. Cloud means more elastic, right? And I would argue that WVD is elastic. Right. And it'll be moving, getting better and better and better over the years. Right. I think it's a huge revolution in our world. I mean, obviously it's, it's a step. So I wouldn't call it 10 steps, right? It's not like, oh, wait a second, this is so amazing. But that big step is so important because it is Microsoft, because it is multi-user Windows 10, because it is elastic. We're moving away from how we used to do it into a new way of doing it from the biggest of the vendor, right?
Yeah, but I agree. But what I was trying to say is that so it is a step forward. It's not 10 steps forward for Microsoft. It is a step forward, but the whole marketing machine around it is trying to sell it that this is the new world we are living in.
Well, don't they always do that though?
Yeah. That's
of course.
The power of Microsoft marketing. Even though, and don't call me. Well, you can comment me on that one. Maybe they don't have the best product out there, but they probably have the best marketing guys out there. Which try to.
IGEL has the best marketing guys. And we have great product too, but we digress.
No, but you know what I mean. So back in the day, Microsoft won via the marketing campaign, won it over Novell. Even though Novell was the better server operating system than Microsoft.
I don't think it was marketing that won it. I think it was the fact that you had integration, right? Microsoft, basically, I tell the story like this, and I did a lot of, because I was a Novell engineer that moved into Microsoft because I was a young kid and I couldn't get the good jobs at doing the Novell work, right? So it was like, okay, I'll try this Windows thing. And as a young kid and, dealing with a bunch of 40-year-old master CNEs, right? And what we saw there was that Microsoft had integrated, well, basically the CIO, the IT manager, comes back to the IT guys and say, hey, we have 2 directory services. Let's get rid of one. We need to save some money. Yeah. And they say, okay, well, let's get rid of Microsoft. Which one's better? Well, Novell's better. Okay, cool. Get rid of Microsoft. Well, we can't. Why? Because SQL integrates with, AD, or SQL integrates with this. We require this. Okay, then get rid of Novell. Yes, but it's better. Well, I don't care. It's better. We only need one. Right. Yeah. So, that's the reason. That's always been. And if you look at, something like, just their play within WVD, their play within Office 365. It's that embrace, embed, make free or cheap, and then give it to the masses, right? Yep. And then there's no choice but to use it because it would be dumb not to. Yep. And whether you can make an argument, maybe Microsoft software is not as good as company X's software. That could be argued, right? I'm not going to play that argument because sometimes I think it is, sometimes I think it isn't. But if are you going to buy Slack for a bunch of money, or are you going to use Teams because it's free and works with all your other Office products, right? Because it's embedded, and that's how Microsoft destroys, and that's how Microsoft wins. It's not even about marketing. Right?
Okay. Then I was a little bit wrong about what I meant with marketing, but that's pretty.
I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. Yeah. And what you're saying more is that if Microsoft. So here's another example. Is I remember Softricity. You remember Softricity, the AppV guys, right?
Yeah.
For those who listening, if you don't know Softricity, they're the guys that created AppV. Yep. And the one of the founders and the marketing guy over there said, Doug, when I asked him, well, what's the biggest difference, because Microsoft acquired them, and he goes, and I said, what's the biggest difference of working for Microsoft than working for yourself? And he said, I used to call you up and say, Doug, will you please post this press release? I beg you to do it. I beg 10 guys to do it. Maybe 1 or 2 would do it.
Yeah.
Because at Microsoft, I don't even beg them. They beg me to post it.
Yeah.
Right. That's the difference, right? The marketing machine is you want to be on that, right?
Yep. Yeah. But so now what we see nowadays is we have the big three. Yeah. We've got the VMware cloud where they have the whole Horizon stack. We've got the Citrix cloud with their virtual desktop in the cloud, and we've got WVD from Microsoft. So I always get the question, which one is better? Which one should I use? Which one should I buy? Do we have to do it on-prem or in the cloud or hybrid? And those are pretty difficult questions to answer because I don't know. I first have to get your requirements. What do you want? What do you want to do with this technology? I'm not going to say that VMware is better than Citrix or vice versa, or that WVD is better or worse than Citrix. No, it depends. It always depends on what I do know, and what I see in the market is that a complete on-prem versus a complete in the cloud. Well, that's a big decision you have to take. It also regards all sorts of legal stuff. Is my data allowed to be in a cloud, which I'm not controlling? But then, from a more technical perspective, if you put your desktops in the cloud using WVD or Citrix Cloud or Horizon in the cloud, I don't really care. And your data is on-prem in data centers. Then your WAN connections are very, very important. Your latency is very important. I've seen applications which will stop working if the latency goes above the 10 milliseconds. And if you have your desktop in the cloud and your data in your on-prem data center, and the 10 millisecond latency is the issue, then either you have to move your data into the cloud, or you have to move your virtual desktop back into the on-prem data center, because otherwise, and that's what I mean, applications are leading. Applications decide what we are going to do. If we're going to do an on-prem, hybrid, or cloud-based solution for that company, it's applications. And back in the day, we I think it was Brian Madden that was it Brian? I don't know, that did the announcement that legacy apps will disappear within, I think it was 5 or 10 years. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if it was Brian, but somebody
he could have said it, but I don't think he would have believed it. I mean, that would have been short. He's not short-sighted.
No,
he might say something, but he wasn't. Brian's far.
Maybe it was somebody else. But see where we are now. Currently, 10 years later, we still have a shitload of legacy apps at customers. And I was in a customer the last year. It's a large financial institute here in the Netherlands, and they come up with applications. I was like, what? You're still using that? Yeah. And we are going to use that for the next couple of years. So your new server-based computing and infrastructure should be able to run my 16-bit legacy app thingy. I was like,
exactly.
What? We still get those questions. Yeah, we still get those questions. And let's contact the vendor to see if there's a newer version. No. The vendor is bankrupt 10 years ago, and we don't get any updates anymore. We don't have support anymore. And I was like, okay, and that's a business critical application for you guys? Yeah, it is. I was like, what? But we see that's on one case, but we see that a lot.
Yeah, you bet.
That the most idiotic applications created from a guy like 10 years ago, and he is already in retirement or whatever. There's only one guy who knows exactly everything about the applications, is either dead or in retirement or doesn't work in the company anymore. And it's still a business critical application, and that happens, and that will still happen for the next 5 or 10 years, and maybe longer. So as long as we have those applications around, that will decide what technology we are going to use for the infrastructure, or cloud based or on-prem based or whatever. And then we can get an argument about the whole feature fucking about the difference between Horizon or Citrix or WVD. And I really don't give a crap. It's good enough for most nowadays.
Way past good enough.
Way past good enough. So 10, 15 years ago, RDP over a WAN connection was absolutely shit.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I also, as a Citrix guy, have to admit that doing RDP over a WAN connection for most use cases, it's more than sufficient. It works. So, and same goes for because VMware also did a catch up the last couple of years with their protocol, and it's also more than efficient. It works great. Basically, we can feature fuck about everything, but it still depends on if a customer asks me what should you choose. I was like, I don't really care. I don't care because basically it comes to the cost. Obviously, I don't decide the cost. But basically, if a customer wants to have Citrix, but WVD is 20% cheaper, then who am I to argue that they shouldn't buy Citrix or WVD if they've got a 20% discount from whatever guy? And so basically they're all good enough to do the work more than decent nowadays. And I only help them with the more common problems, which are still there. So profile problems, workplace, end user computing problems. Because I don't care if it's WVD or Citrix or VMware. We all have the profile problems, the printer problems, the safe settings problems. If we're going to use a mandatory profile, roaming profile, hybrid profile, we still have those issues. Yeah. So, and that's where the most of the work goes in, because everybody can set up a decent Citrix environment or a Horizon View environment. Just follow the guides, do the next finish installation. But then the real work starts with applications, getting those up and running, GPOs, getting the correct settings in there, antivirus, tuning it, stuff like that. That's where the challenges nowadays are.
That's always been the challenge. I mean, the devil's always in the details, right? It's those little things what separate the good from the bad. We've chatted a long time, so we probably should be winding this thing up, but I have a few more questions for you. I'd like to dive down. IGEL. I'd like to bring up IGEL. So I know you've done some, you've played around with it a bit. And what do you think of, even forget IGEL, what do you think of that style? Where does that solution like what IGEL brings to market play in the world today?
Well, in the world today, I think it's a very important tool or thing, because we see a lot of use cases and customers where they don't want to manage the endpoint the way they used to manage the endpoint. So with a complete Windows installation or a desktop which needed to be updated and maintained and could be broken down by an employee because he installed some wrong software or whatever. So with the whole IGEL management software and the IGEL OS, you eliminate a lot of those client problems, and I think that's a good thing. And so IGEL OS, it's based on a Linux OS. It's decent. It's stable. It's durable. It runs on legacy hardware. That's very important. So especially at the big enterprise customers, they have shitloads of laptops which are 2 or 3, 4 years old, and they're not going to buy 100,000 new laptops. No, they can leverage those same legacy laptops, put IGEL OS on it, and it runs smoothly again. But the real strength of IGEL is the whole management thing. So there are also solutions out there which do a pretty decent thinno-ish something on a laptop or a desktop, which allows the user to fire up a Horizon client or an RDP client or a Citrix client, but the whole management part, that's the real strength of IGEL. I think that's a very important and very powerful tool to manage all your endpoints, whether they're on-prem or out there on somewhere on the internet, and then taking into account the whole COVID thingy, letting your employees work at home securely. Hey, just hand them out the UD pockets, put it in a laptop or whatever, boot it up. It's configured automatically via the IGEL gateway, and they're up and running. And if you're done working, take it out, reboot your laptop, and you have your old Windows 10 private laptop machine where you can have your private email or your games or whatever. And especially with the whole COVID thingy, that instantly everybody had to work from home. I think that's the real power of IGEL. That it's very flexible. You can hand out those UD pockets and off you go. I think that's a real strength. Yeah.
I agree with. I mean, I think any software is about, can you manage this thing, right? We're not living in a sneaker world or a sneaker wear, type of support world anymore. So it comes down to, can we manage these devices, these applications, these operating systems in an easy, less cost, less trouble way, right? Yeah. And I think that's what blows me away. I mean, when I came to IGEL, I thought I knew the product. I knew a bunch of folks over at IGEL, and I always stopped by the booth, and I was, played around with it. I thought I knew it. But the more is, even to this day, 3.5 years later, as I, see something that we can do, I'm thinking, wow, I didn't even know we could do that. That's so amazing. And the Germans really built a great piece of product. And, you remember Vision App, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Vision App was such a cool piece of software, but it was the bad German engineer, it was the over German engineering, right? It was like, you have to be a PhD to figure out how to use the software. I remember Benny doing a session and he couldn't figure it out, and it was Benny, right?
Yeah.
Benny knows everything, where IGEL did the opposite. It's German secured, or German thought through, German design, but it's simple. Right. And that's, I thought it works, but then it's simple. I really love the software. I'm not saying that as an employee. I mean it as a technologist. It's really cool tech.
Yeah. Well, basically, my first contact with IGEL was back in, 2005, I think.
Yeah.
We had a company here in the Netherlands, which was is still a distri for IGEL in the Netherlands. That's Tweco.
Yeah, of course.
Those guys brought IGEL first. I think it was for the first time into the Netherlands. And Tweco, the office of Tweco was very near the company I used to work for. So we got our hands on a couple of IGEL devices and the first version of the remote manager software. And also back in the day, it was pretty intuitive. So I never read a manual or something like that. I just installed it and tried to click around and figure it out. And it took me like half a day to figure it out and to get it up and running. And we sold a couple of implementations at customers back in, I think it's 04 or 05-ish. And now I see what the IGEL company has become nowadays and how large it has become and how the software has been evolved. That's pretty impressive, I think. Yeah,
it's amazing. It makes sense once you know it, but it's if you don't, then it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, one more question for you. We'll probably ask a couple more, but we don't want to make it too long for these folks. So, but I'm enjoying myself. I like talking to you, Timco. You're one of me, as you know, you're one of my faves. So, so VMware, we've talked about Citrix, Microsoft, IGEL, the other big beast on the block is VMware, and these guys hired the amazing team, right? First you have Sean go over there, and then they snatch up Brian.
Yep.
And then Gabe comes over, right? And then Jack comes over, and now they got Ron. I mean, can you ask for? That's pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, but don't forget Andrew.
Andrew who?
Morgan. Andrew Morgan.
Oh God, yes. I was thinking Wood.
No, Andrew Wood. No, Andrew Wood is working for
Amazon. He's at Amazon. I was like, wait a second. That's why I was like dumbfounded. I'm thinking Wood split for VMware.
No.
I like Andrew Morgan. He's a good guy.
Morgan. Yeah, he's
super
he's
sharp.
A very nice
super
guy.
Sharp.
Yeah. So they put on they created an amazing team of guys over there. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm not sure what those guys are going to think up or create or do the next couple of years. I'm pretty excited to see what will happen and what they will think of come out with. It's.
Do you think that they have enough say so? Or do you think they're? I don't want to sell them short, because I think the role of those guys, I really do. And we both known them forever. But do you think they're more like talking heads, like the guys you put out, the evangelist people, or do you think that the VMware is smart enough to listen to them?
I think they're smart enough to listen.
Yeah, I would. I mean, Sean definitely, right? Because he's
Sean definitely.
And everything,
I think.
I would hope so.
I think they already proved that they are listening to those guys, because I think it was Andrew who got us an assignment of Sean to create something directory-ish. We all know the Citrix Director console, and they needed a VMware-like-ish variant of that. I hope I'm not selling it short, Andy. Sorry for that, but I haven't actually looked at the thing. But Andy, in a couple of months, put out a complete new dashboard monitoring your Horizon infrastructure, and if that's not approved from the top, then I don't think he got the time to do that. So, and I think that Sean is a very important part in that decision making tree. So I think he can make the top level at VMware understand that they need to change some things. They need to have some products or have some features, or this feature is more important than the other feature. I think Sean is a very good guy to explain to the board of directors or the management of VMware on what is important and what's not important, and especially regarding the whole end user computing stuff from VMware. I'm not sure if those guys are advising regarding the whole hypervisor thingy. I'm not. I don't think that's an area those guys touch. But the whole EUC part of the VMware company, I think Sean and his guys are doing having a lot of leverage, and I think that's a good thing.
Oh, it's absolutely. Like I said, I have the utmost respect for those. I mean, Sean's one of those guys. I've met a lot of folks, as you have. You know the same folks I do, and Sean might be. So I remember the old CTP meetings. You were in these meetings, and they would sit around. We'd sit around in a big giant square, right? And the PMs would talk to us, and everyone would bitch and whine and complain. And all of a sudden, Sean would raise his hand.
Yeah,
and it was like, okay, let's shut up and let's listen to pure perfection. Remember?
Yeah. Basically, what we were in the room with 50 guys. So 49 of us and one Sean.
Yes.
We would share a mic with 49 of us.
Yes.
And Sean would have his own mic.
Yes.
That's basically what happens all the time. Just give Sean a mic for himself, because everybody. So we shared the mic, and I really love those meetings. I did too. We had so much fun, but he was always straightforward. He talked like he was Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I never met anybody.
But he was Sean's very articulate too. He's not sometimes with the techies they'll dive into the weeds and they don't get the business, right? Yeah. Sean understood both, to the nth degree, right? That's what was so beautiful about it. Because some of the techies, I'd sit there and go, well, it just doesn't matter in the big picture, man. I see your point, but it doesn't matter in the big picture. Yeah. Where Sean got the big picture, so
I
listened to every word he said.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest qualities he has, and but what I always love those conversations, the CTP meetings in Florida and in LA and Anaheim, and I love those meetings really.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun. To me, they ran their course. I got far away from low level tech work, but I love those folks. It's my childhood in many ways, right? They're great people. I've like we mentioned, Sean and Brian and Ron. Those the guys that I wouldn't say looked up to per se, but very much enjoyed being around and learning from and chatting with and hanging out with.
Yeah, well, the first day I came to the CTP meeting, my first CTP meeting I went to, I met you and I met Brian Madden and Sean, and I really looked up to you guys. But then a couple of hours.
Then you got to know us.
And I got to know you guys and spend an evening at the bar, and I was like, hey, damn, you guys are pretty much the same as I am. So you don't have to look up to you guys.
I thought about putting in the show notes the picture I have of you.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Probably don't show that picture.
I won't show that picture. I won't even explain what I'm talking about. But it was always in those days, and still. I mean, I won't say it's much anymore because I'm a lot older and can't do it. But it was always work hard, play hard, right?
Yeah,
at 100%. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
definitely a lot of fun. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes,
Since you brought up death 3 times now, I've been counting. First 20 years, 10 years, and then you hope the guy wasn't dead. I will bring it up once, and that is I've always said that I could die tomorrow and have lived a good life. And and most of my life has been my job. Right? I mean, it's a great group of folks.
Yeah.
Great group of folks. So. Timco, we better stop this, so we'll go on for 2 hours. I did do a podcast with Madden, the only time I've ever done a podcast with him, and we ended up talking for 2 hours. I finally told him, I was like, dude, we got to, stop this. And we stopped, and I was like, I said, how do you? He's like, that was a lot of fun. I was like, do you know we talked for 2 hours? He's like, 2 hours? I was like, exactly.
Yeah, well, we are already almost 1.5 hours.
Is it 1.5?
Almost.
Yeah,
almost.
We started a little bit late. We chatted for a while.
Okay,
so.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will say to the folks that, as many people listen, they know that I always start off by saying, hey, we just chatted for, my guest and I for 30 minutes, and you should have listened to it. It's so much fun. So the conversation I'm having with Timco here is like those conversations, right? It's that, hey, Lord knows where this thing's going to go. It's just 2 people talking, right? 2 techies sort of shooting the shit, so to speak. Yeah. We've sworn way too much. I don't know if I need to put explicit on this.
Well, if you broadcast it here in Europe, you don't.
Yeah, that's true, but it's the Americans,
Okay, then
you gotta watch out for those people.
Well, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them all.
Okay, this thing's going down. Hey, by the way, I'm American. Born and bred, baby, born and bred.
Yeah, but you now live on our side of the world.
Yeah, I've been here. This July will be 6 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I still don't speak the language. That's so poor of me, right?
Yeah, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. You should learn either some Dutch or German.
Yeah, not the Dutch because that won't really help me much. But I am working on German. I have I just renewed my visa and married now, and so I have 3 more years or 2 more years, actually 1 more year, and I can apply for a permanent visa, but I have to speak at A1 level. First of all, I don't even know what that means, but I have to, basically means that I need to be able to speak the language. So I'm working on it.
Yeah, you probably, what it probably means is that you can make yourself understandable.
Yeah.
If you want to order something in a restaurant, or if you go to the hospital, you can talk to the doctors and explain what your problem is, or that's basically what I think what it means. But hey, you will.
I can order food. I'm really good around a pub. You take me to a restaurant, a pub, I could do that, right?
Okay.
It's the hospitals I have absolutely no clue, and the government buildings are even worse. Right? But I think the government buildings are tough for a German too.
If you go to the hospital, just point it out. Es tut weh. Es tut weh.
Yeah, exactly.
And they will understand. No problem.
Okay. We are way off course now.
Yeah.
Timco, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's always such a joy to chat with you, and I can't wait to see you again, man.
Yeah, me too, man. Thanks for having me.
I've been telling people as soon as we all get back together again, it's going to be the biggest party the world's ever seen, you know?
Yeah, probably.
It'll be a complete blowout. They'll have to have a conference where it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday and Thursdays are recovery days.
Something like that. That would be awesome. That
would be awesome. Yeah, exactly. Because it's going to be so nice to see people. And if you have a beer with everyone you promised, well, that's a lot of beers.
Oh, yep. That's a lot of beer indeed. But no, it was fun talking to you, Doug. And I hope to see you soon in real life again. Stay safe, stay healthy. Well, thanks for now.
Yeah, thank you. And give my best wishes to your wife there, too. It was nice
Will do. Will do.
Take care, buddy. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye, man. Bye-bye.
I warned you. I warned you. As always, I want to thank my guest for today, Timco. Thank you so much, my friend. I really enjoyed recording this. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and it's always a pleasure to chat with you and see you. So I hope this COVID gets behind us so I can come and see you again. And, of course, each and every one of you listening. You know, one of my favorite things to do is when I go places, I meet people, and, I see a lot of my old friends and stuff like Timco, but I also meet new folks, and a lot of times they'll say, hey, Doug, you know, I know you from, you know, the podcasts, and that's really great. I always say, what do you think? You know, and so yeah, I love doing these things. I love meeting you guys. I can't wait to get back on the road and do it again. So without further ado, I'll just go ahead and say thank you. We have more podcasts coming soon, so please stay tuned. A lot of fun stuff on the horizon. Take care of yourselves. Have a fun summer. Keep your distance from folks. You know, stay home if you can. I really want this over, and the way it's going to get over, I think, in my opinion, is if we just sort of stay home for a little bit, you know, stay away from each other. And it doesn't mean we can't shop and buy things. Please do that. But it definitely means that we can probably just tone it down a bit so I don't need to go to the beach. I never went to the beach when it was okay to go to the beach. I lived in Florida for 14 years. I went to the beach 3 or 4 times. Hated it. It was hot and sandy. Well, you can tell I'm an engineer by training, can't you? Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening to DABCC Radio.
CC?
DABC.
Say it again. DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again? DABCC.
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.